Welcome to Board Game Homies, where a group of friends play, review, and share about all things board games. Sitting around the table today are
Reed, Becky,
Gillian,
and I'm Angela. Today we'll be talking about Emberheart, aka will a game about dragons finally worm its way into Reed's cold fantasy-hating heart, or Becky's medium-weight aversion? Or will Gillian finally lose a game? Maybe. Maybe we won't. We'll never know. But first, what games are bringing you joy?
Gillian brought this game up in our last episode of Games on Order, and we now have There and Back Again in our house, so I got to see the box, and I really like the artwork of it. And so I pulled it up on BGG and started scrolling through the images, and the artwork is really cute. Like, it's playful, it's colorful. There are bread loaf tokens, which I'm excited about. And the player boards are basically board books, which really taps into my youth services librarian experiences. And I'm really excited to hold all those components in my hands and have so many loaves of bread.
Becky, this is hilarious because you went to the internet to look at pictures, not open the box, which is sitting 4 feet away.
Okay, but I feel like it's a thing when we open boxes, right? I don't know, maybe Gillian was going to make me punch things.
Exactly. Whoever opens the box has to punch it. That's the rule in this household.
That's not a rule Reed follows, so I don't know why that lives at your house.
Because Reed is chaos.
Ooh, Reed, do you want to open a box? But also the dice kind of look like railroad ink, so that's exciting.
Are you trying to entice me to open this box?
Yeah, and punch out my loaves of bread and swords. I think
she's going to use those swords to stab us.
Wait, do you use the swords to cut the bread?
Probably not.
Wow, guys, we really need to play this with an aesthetic where we have a rustic loaf and some cheese.
Well, when is the Lord of the Rings watching party? Could add I don't want to watch the Hobbit movies, but.
So for my girlfriend's birthday, there's a certain thing where hobbits come of age. That birthday year isn't until next year. So we would have to not play this game for a year.
I'm just saying we could make an event there if it's still around.
I mean, it would be her watching all of the movies and me making the 12-course meal and us playing games in the corner and her telling us to shut up.
Wait, we also want to watch the movies too, though. So you can make us all the food, we'll watch movies, and then we'll teach you how to play the game.
Okay, and by then you'll have upgraded your loaf tokens that are cardboard into actual loaves of bread. And so I'll use the tokens as decor. It all works together,
It's going to be perfect.
The game that is bringing me joy is a game I haven't actually played physically. So I always hate saying oh, I really like this game when I've only played it digitally. And yet, some people at this table own this game, so I don't feel as bad. Also, I do not own this game, which is Loose, the trick-taking game by Takeshi Shinzawa, the dude that made Masked Men, Inflation, and Twinkle Starship as well.
Ooh.
This game gives me a lot of Xylotar vibes. It's a trick-taking game where you don't actually see the numbers in your hand, your opponents do. And so you're trying to figure out, okay, I know I have 3 yellow cards, but based on everything I'm seeing, do I have the highest yellow or the lowest yellows? And then you have to make a bid based on how many tricks you think you'll win. I am so bad at this game. I'm somehow worse at this game than Xylotar, and it's the same game. Anyway, I just really like it. It's a simpler trick taker because you're making your bids and not seeing your own hand, but it's kind of fun. I like it.
I enjoy playing it online as well. I like that it has a trump suit. The yellow suit is always the trump suit, and so that's fun to figure out how to play into what cards you're going to win. I do not understand the bead mechanism with the bids. Does anybody else understand that?
No, read. You have to read the instructions in the language that is different. The safety bead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Read the rules, Reed.
Okay. Our wonderful listeners will not find out what the beads are unless you read the rule book either.
Wait, do you know, Angela?
Absolutely not.
I know. I'm getting mocked here.
Well, I was Reed, don't ask the question you don't know the answer to.
No,
I
was saying I don't know the answer to. Gillian explained to me partially how to play this game because we had looked at playing it one day, but I don't know if you know the bead.
No, that was months ago at this point, and I never actually played the game, so I'm.
Gillian doesn't play on the internet either, so he doesn't even have an 80% understanding of the game.
I just can't believe you're sassing Reed for not knowing, and this is your joy game.
Becky, I'm smart enough not to ask questions about things because then you'll get mocked.
Yeah, that's true.
Angela for the win.
I'm excited for that one too. Obviously, I bought it. It has the thing that I immediately thought of when I saw the game was Hanabi, which is it's a cooperative game, not trick taking whatsoever, but it's a game where you can't see your cards, much like in this lose trick taking game, and so that was very reminiscent, and I do remember liking that game a lot. So also blind bidding in that capacity seems really fun.
Maybe that's where it comes in. The blind bidding?
No, you have some sort of mechanism where you do bids, and then there's a safety bead, but I don't understand what the safety bead is.
Only Hummingbell knows, and that's why she wins all the time when we play. Step one.
You get a lot of negative points in this game. I get a lot of negative points in this game.
Thanks for the clarification, Rita.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, my joy game is a game that I've been thinking about for a while, and I did see it in our local game shop a few weeks ago and decided to pick it up out of curiosity. And it is Bomb Busters. So it got a lot of buzz a while ago and won the Spiel des Jahres. And I was excited to play it. I thought it would be a good family game. That's kind of what it seemed like to me. But then it's 14 and up. So I don't know how that's going to work with a 9-year-old, but maybe that's something that we can enjoy as well. And I did read more about it after buying it. And it is a cooperative game that has about 66 missions or kind of sections of the game in it. And I've enjoyed playing games that we've done like Dorf Romantic recently and The Crew, and thought that would be fun as maybe like a filler. I don't know how much it would be like its own game night, but
I was happy that you picked this up. It was sold out for a while after it won the award, and it was just really popular. It made a lot of people's like exciting cooperative kind of party-esque, but it seems like there's a lot more layers to it. I don't love a party game, but this game I was like, ooh, should I buy this? This seems really fun. And it takes a lot for a cooperative game. So I like the idea that you're diffusing bombs and there's all these different challenge missions that you get to go do. Because it sounds like there's a lot of replayability there. So I'm excited to play it at your house once you learn how to play. And then...
Once you get a house.
Well... Okay.
Okay,
We're
both of
counting
those
down.
things are good goals to have by the end of the year. Learning how to play and having a house.
Which is close.
I know.
It's
It's
close.
very true. I think it's interesting. I don't know the player count. I should have looked at the box. I did not look in the box. I was looking at articles, and for some reason that didn't stick out to me. But it was interesting that when I read reviews, it was talking about how, you might play with a core group of people and then other people might come in and then you can still kind of go up. But there are some missions that are more base level than others. So I do hope it has replayability. But I don't know if I see myself getting to all 60 missions very soon.
That's what I think a lot of people mention, is that it's nice to have a ton of variety of play, but the 66 missions might just be a little too much. That a lot of folks probably won't get through all of those missions. I'm excited for the game too. There was a period where I almost got it too. I think it was when it was nominated for the award. And I was very tempted, very curious, but I think what held me back was the cooperative nature, because our group hasn't played a ton of co-op games together. And so I wasn't sure I would be able to get to the table, but I do want to play it.
Yeah, and Reed, BGG says that it plays 2 to 5 players, which I think is also great for our other game group. Also, the community feels like Bomb Busters is 10 and up.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was surprised that 14 and up was what they thought it was, and I don't know why.
Bombs, that's why.
Yeah.
We don't follow the rules around here, Reed. We play whatever we want for whatever age we are.
This is America.
This is
True.
America.
Kids love explosions.
Well, that's not wrong. Maybe 2026 is going to be the year of the co-op. Maybe. Okay.
Boo.
Okay,
Now, Becky,
okay.
boo.
Okay, but it could be. This year's been year of the ship. Let's go to co-ops.
She
No,
said S-H-I-P, but
Oh.
some could have subbed in a T, and it would have been correct with where the world is.
Oh, wow.
I was just
okay.
talking about our board games.
No, next year's going to be animals, and you're going to hate every single game.
No.
My Toy Game is one that we talked about, I think, a decent amount during our On Order episode, but it just arrived, and that is Speakeasy by Vital Lacerda. And I won't talk too much about it, but it's a Vital Lacerda heavy Euro game that has a gangster theme, running speakeasies in Manhattan. And I'm just, the box art is amazing, Tool's amazing, and I'm just really excited to get to the table.
I heard that it is somehow a bigger box than most of his other games.
It is. It ended up being a lot chunkier than I think they anticipated because they wanted to use the same box size as all the other Vital Lacerda Eagle Griffin Deluxe editions, but there's just so much content that they couldn't do it, so they had to basically make it a little thicker.
Is it even a Lacerda game if it's not that size?
Oh my goodness, Becky.
I feel like that's how I know.
Well, see, now I have a hard thing. One, I am so excited for Speakeasy. I said that on the last episode. It's sitting over there, and she thick. She a thick box, but you have a nice little collection of games that came in while you were out on a work trip. So now my question is, you both have said a favorite game you have that's in that pile. Which one will you get played first?
Honestly, I feel like The Hobbit will be pretty easy to get to the table, so that's probably going to be the first one.
Loaves of bread, man.
Yes, I'm excited.
I vote for 2026 being Year of the Bread Games.
Oh, I here for Reed. Yes, correct.
Oh, but I don't. Wow, no, I don't know. Well, look, I love bread, but what games have bread in them?
There's a game that we've played that has bread in it. Is it Clans of Caledonia? Am I wrong on that?
Okay, that one does have bread, but I was
Yeah, it
saying
does
like
have bread.
fromage and Amalfi.
I
yeah,
actually don't
Amalfi
think
does.
fromage has bread in it.
That's disappointing.
Well, it is a game about cheese, Becky.
Yeah, and I want to eat my cheese on my bread.
Well, maybe you need to wait for Formaggio,
Whoa.
which is the second version of fromage.
Maybe it has bread in it.
It's Italian.
A sturdy cracker is what one needs for cheese, Becky.
I would allow a sturdy cracker in Year of Bread Game.
Emberheart, published in 2025, plays 2 to 4 players. It's designed by Rob Fisher and Adam Porter, with art by Andrew Bosley. It's published by Mindclash Games and retails for $39 United States American dollars. Gillian, how do we play Emberheart?
In Emberheart, you take the role of one of the king's champions, whose mission is to join forces with the villagers, rescue and protect the dragons of the island of Emberheart, and stand against the evil poachers trying to collect dragons. You will be rescuing dragons, recruiting heroes, training your dragon champion, and keeping your flame low enough to earn the most glory to win the title of Dragon Ambassador. Emberheart is a medium-weight worker placement game. On your turn, you can either take an aid token, which will grant you a unique bonus for that round, or you can send a party of hirelings to one of the locations on the island. The number of hirelings you send matters just as much as where you send them on the island. The more hirelings you commit to a location, the earlier you get to choose from its limited rewards, and the less likely your opponents are to outbid you with a larger hireling party. There are various hirelings at your disposal. There are grunts, which are the most abundant and versatile, but they're single use. So once you execute an action with a grunt in your party, that grunt is no longer able to be used. They go off on their own. However, the others that are available to use, which are scouts, rangers, and wardens, they're permanent, meaning that when you execute the action with those hirelings, they come back to you to use on a subsequent round. However, those special hirelings are limited to specific locations. For instance, the scouts can only go to 3 of the 6 locations that you can choose from on the island of Emberheart. You also have a special dragon companion that you can use to join with one of your party of hirelings as you place them, giving them various bonuses based on how you trained it. On that point, Throughout the game, you will have the ability to train your dragon in one of 3 categories that will give it additional bonuses when you use it with hirelings. They will either count as their own worker, thereby reducing the number of hirelings you need, or you can get chainmail when you place the dragon as part of your party, thereby giving you the ability to upgrade or exchange a worker for another worker. And the final way that you can upgrade your dragon companion is by reducing your fire, essentially, thereby making it so that you don't burn to a crisp as the game progresses. The game takes place over 5 rounds. At the end of 5 rounds, everybody counts up the victory points they get for the preserves that they've achieved or preserves that they've managed to place dragons in, coupled heroes and dragons, and endgame victory points that way. And perhaps the most important or hardest to balance is the fire track, where you score glory points based on the difference between you and the person who's farthest along on the track. Whoever has the most fire gets 0 points. Whoever has the least fire could potentially score big for glory. Whoever has the most glory points at the end of the 5 rounds inherits the title of Dragon Ambassador.
I'm surprised. Although I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I don't know why I was surprised. Anyway, I was a little surprised. This is your first Andrew Bosley game that you guys bought. And I don't know, by us playing Everdell so much, I just thought you would have tons of his games. But his work here is really gorgeous and beautiful. Oh, that's not true. He did the expansion for Viticulture World. So technically, this is your second Andrew Bosley game.
Game with Andrew Bosley art, to be specific. But yeah, I was very pleased when I saw this one come up for pre-order through Mindclash Games. The box art itself just grasped me immediately, and then when I read more about it, and they also released some kind of promo material with how to plays and overviews, and I just love the aesthetics. Andrew Bosley, I've always loved his art, but I was never a huge fan of Everdell. I do like it, but it was one that I never truly fell in love with. And so I don't know, I just wanted a game that had his art, I guess, and this was a great opportunity to jump on board. And everything about it is really nice. Just the art on all the cards. The only qualm I have with it is maybe that there are only 3 different colors of dragons, minus the wild. I guess the wild can be one of those 3 colors, but yeah, beyond that, I like the art a lot.
The art is very nice. After you guys said that Bosley did the art for Viticulture, that was all I could see in the background on the board was oh, that's where my winery is going.
Well, Viticulture World.
Sorry, Viticulture World. It's all the same to me.
Wow.
Should I not have said that?
I mean, that's technically incorrect because he's only Viticulture World.
Gillian Correction Corner. Also, the whole time you just said, it's like the vineyard. It's like the vineyard.
Yes, as soon as you guys said that, that's all I could see. That's all I saw. It was beautiful. It wasn't a bad thing.
No,
beautiful.
it's really pretty, and the components are really nice too. The upgrade, I think, what'd you say, Gillian? You only upgraded
the aid tokens, which are the 4 that you grasp as the game progresses. Each round progresses.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody needs to upgrade those. Gillian needs to upgrade those, but you don't need to, and I think you still get a really stellar set of cards and the hirelings, all of the pieces. The dragons are really beautiful and great.
Yeah, and especially for the price point, the $39.99 or whatever you had mentioned earlier, I think that's a really good price point, and it does show in this. Some of the the cardboard is nice quality and whatnot, but there are other games where they might have included some option to upgrade those chips or whatever, but there'd be a ton of them in this game, so that would be very cost prohibitive. But for the price you pay, I think you get a really good quality product.
I think that the dragon meeples are very cute, and I loved having that as, a special moment where you stack your cardboard chips, chits, whatever they are, and then you put your dragon on the top, and that was added a tactile joy to it. I think that my qualm with the way that the game was created aesthetically, and I don't know if this is aesthetically or in the mechanics, but I don't love when factions dictate color. I like when you get to choose your color and then you get to choose your factions separately. And so we were trading factions and color with it, and it was a little bit confusing when our player colors were getting mixed up between games.
That was funny. We had made a decision that when we played it the next time, we would you could keep your color and just change the faction board, and then you left, and then we didn't do that. So then we forced you to play the other way. But it was weird because I was the yellow person playing with you, and I was like, I'm yellow, not Reed. I'm yellow, not Reed. And so I had to say that over and over again.
I almost think that I understood that I was not yellow more than other people did.
I think so too. But it was complicated trying to do the fire track and being used to moving yellow just in general for Reed. Okay, so.
On the aesthetic, I do love Everdell's art. I love the quaintness and the little forest creatures. I didn't necessarily love the humans in this. I just don't like illustrations of humans very much in general, and so that was a little bit of a miss for me. I'm not also super dragon person, so
you just prefer drawings of people.
No, what? No.
Humans aren't people.
Okay. I don't know where I was. Becky's doing.
Sorry.
I told you, literally. Distract Reed. We will have to go on a side.
Humans are people, aren't they? Dragons aren't people. I know that.
You said you weren't a huge fan of humans and generally not dragons. Is where you left off.
So I would say that it's not one that I would pick up, but I am excited. I like the kind of transformation into this world, and I think that they did that as a good job. You know, like the hero cards kind of having some of the illustration around them did feel like, okay, this fits with what that is. It just might not be something I pick up.
Yeah, dragons aren't necessarily. Dragons seem like Gillian's jam 10,000%. I do really like them. I feel like the whole board has a good color palette, which I appreciate and didn't get lost. And even though there's a lot of stuff on the board, it is clearly defined. You go into these sections and you bid, and the board wasn't so muddled that I lost track of where all the things were. And I appreciated that in a game where you have to go to very different sections. And then I think there was a little bit of a thing I had to remember, which is each section has a icon that defines what that section is. And so you have to kind of be like, oh, okay, that means I get to go here. So like on the hero cards, it'll say when you have this, and then you shows the icon. I was like, okay, wait, where is that spot that I have to go to? And so only a few times at the very beginning when we played did I have to look at the icon key that was on the back of the rule book. There isn't a player aid. I also don't think it needs a player aid after the first play or so. You just kind of realize you're matching up symbols. I thought that was really helpful.
Yeah, I thought the board itself was laid out really well because as you resolve actions, you just kind of go clockwise around the board and resolve each space or each area. The other thing that I think caused a little bit of a hiccup for I think at least one or more of us, at least one of us, was the special hirelings, because some spaces only allowed those special hirelings to be in them. So like the mountain, for instance, that was the only spot that Warrens could go, but then there were 3 locations where the scouts could go. And so I think there was a case where we realized like partway through, like, oh, somebody put the ranger in a spot that could only go here, and then they mixed that up. And so we had to backtrack like at least once, I think. But after the first play, yeah, I think it was pretty straightforward.
And that is a good piece about the different types of hirelings you have are based off of the character drawing and also color. And so I like that. So it's not just color dependent, but there are characters that you could match up to be like, oh, this character is the blue one, so they go in this kind of area. That was really nicely done.
I do think me being loving upgrades, I suppose, I do see a scenario where if they just made like, I don't know, I think it would benefit from like little clay chits or something like for those workers, because especially in the mountain space, the number of warrens you have matters in terms of trying to outbid somebody, because that's the one that's probably the most complex space. But there were several times where we had to be like, oh, how many does this person have? And we'd have to look through their entire stack. and then we'd have to look through the next person so that we could judge like how many wardens somebody has. So having some token that had the color on the outside would have been beneficial, I think.
The only cards are they? Well, that's not true. There are dragon cards, which are pretty well laid out, very clear, but they're very simple. The hero cards were a little complicated, and I find this happens in a lot of games, so it's not necessarily a detriment to this game. The hero cards have writing on them, and if you're sitting kitty corner across from the board, you cannot read anything that's written on those. So we would have to collect all the hero cards, which there's only 3, pass them to the person across the table and read them. And so as soon as they came out, we all kind of had to take a look and read them and remember what they were or pick them back up again. So, and again, I think that happens in a lot of games, unless you're playing like 2 or 3 where you're kind of just scooched all together. 4 players, it's hard. So that's my only, that was the only thing that was hard on the board for me.
Yeah.
I also was surprised about the actual content on those hero cards. Like, it was a little bit harder to translate what exactly the action meant or what the end game scoring was. I think there was a pretty good guide in the rule book that explained each of those cards, but reading it initially, I think in all 3 of the games we played, there were cards that I was like, what does that do? So that I'm curious if just some different lingo would help with that. But I mean, we made it through and it was fine and I understood it well enough.
Yeah, but you probably when you picked them up, you said, and I only know that Reed did it because Reed would say it out loud. You go, I don't even know what this one does. I'm not even worried about it, right? And so you were like, I know what this one does. So I'm going to, even though the better play maybe was to take the one you had no idea what it meant. So I agree. That was a little convoluted. The heroes was probably the piece where I was like, these are great. Also, I can't read them and they're hard to remember.
Oh, and we had gotten a rule wrong about the heroes where we thought you could use the hero after you got it, but you needed to attach it to a matching dragon unless you had something that let you break that rule. And then you would get like kind of this end game scoring. But it turned out you had to connect the dragon to use any of the card, which I thought was really interesting once we got that right. But
yeah,
very interesting.
The ongoing ability only affects when you attach the dragon. And that means in the first round, nobody's going to use their hero because there won't be a dragon attached to it till later. Because you get your heroes first in turn order. Then you can go and get goods, and then you can rescue a dragon, then you can go to the mountain, and then you can get another. So I was like, oh, that feels like a little bit. You can only use your hero power for 4 rounds if you get one in the first, but
yeah.
I don't hate it. But
I will say, like, the heroes themselves, I didn't lean too heavily into them. I often just viewed them as a way to pair a dragon to get the in-game scoring for them. I largely used the heroes for their in-game scoring. I didn't pay too much attention to their like in-game because I felt like it was fairly niche in some cases. There was one that I think Reed got that I thought was really cool that didn't have any in-game scoring, but it was a hero that on the next action phase, you can essentially just take one of the heroes for free from the selection and then refill the space. And I thought that was a really cool ability. So the ones that were very easy to digest and like figure out, I think were like pretty useful. But yeah, I ended up using them as largely in-game scoring conditions.
yeah, when I was thinking about how I could play better, I think the answer was use the heroes less or care about them less. Because I was like, Gillian won all the time and did not use those at all. The one hero, though, I did find very useful is, so you're going to go and you're going to go around the board resolving all of the actions, and then you're going to come to the raid phase. And in the raid phase, there are 2 options that can happen. You flip over 2 cards, and it'll be something like whoever has the most red dragons loses 3 of their hirelings. Or for every red dragon you have, you lose 1 hireling. And so taking one of the tokens, you get to choose which one is going to be enacted. And so you can kind of like look around the board and be like, man, I have a ton of red dragons. I don't want that to happen. So you take the token and then you get to choose, well, it's going to happen to everyone who has heroes. And so there was a hero who said, ooh, girl, you can pick to do whatever you want from those 2 options. You do not have to use whatever was finally chosen. And I was like, that was very nice because I think Gillian was looking and sniping at times.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, which one's benefited? And I was like, this guy's a jerk. I got to get this hero. So I think I had it more games rather than less games.
Yeah, and to that point, the aid tokens were fascinating because I didn't mention it in the rules, but each round, the duration of the round is dependent on those aid tokens. So once all 4 are taken, the round ends and you resolve everything. So theoretically, you could have a situation where everybody just takes an aid token immediately and then the round ends. That didn't happen. It's not, that great of a strategy to do that. But some of those aid tokens are really sought after. There's one that immediately heals you. So you go down 2 spaces on the fire track, which is something you're always trying to balance throughout the game. And so that one ends up being very valuable. And then in addition to the one Angela mentioned, there is one that allows you to essentially get a chainmail token or a tool token, and you also break ties on the mountain, which is very useful, especially later in the game. And so, yeah, it's just, I found those aid tokens to be very fascinating. And so there was often a race for one or more of those. And there was one round, to your point about the removing one of the raid cards. I was looking over at Becky and I was like, oh, Becky has 3 red dragons. I have none. Oh, the other one's bad for me. So I'm going to take that one off the table. And she got so mad because she was going to do it the next on her turn, which was right after mine. And so, yeah, I enjoyed that aspect a lot.
I'm still mad.
I didn't find that felt as much of a race to me, as it was definitely annoying because Becky kept picking the heal yourself to flames, which I wanted, but I could never remember that I wanted it until after you took it. And then I was like, oh, I was going to do that. But it was interesting because the first player token in the last round, somebody takes it just to end the game. There's no benefit to having it. So it's kind of interesting that you still have to take it in order to not be stuck in an endless game.
Well, you only have 5 action tokens. And so you can only do 5 actions during that round. And then taking one of these other tokens is kind of like the 6th action. So you could use all 5 action tokens and then the 6th, and then somebody is forced to take whatever's left. You're right. It would have been great if it was worth like a victory point or something at the end of the game. Like you could flip it over and it's worth 1 point, because I think people would be more interested in getting it sooner. And there were definitely a few times I tried to use my action tokens and not be stuck with one. But you're also balancing, you get these actions, but you only have so many hirelings that can go with it. So if you have only 12 hirelings and you can use tokens to go get more, at some point you may just have 1 action token and no more hirelings. And so you're like, great, I can't even place my action token. This sucks. Or people who are jerks, who maybe are on this podcast, will take the 1 cost spot where you only need 1 hireling. And so you only have 1 hireling left, but they're all taken because your friends are jerks. And so you don't have, it's a wasted turn. So I did appreciate the efficiency puzzle of this game of trying to balance how many hirelings you have with your action tokens, when you had to go get more hirelings, and kind of the bidding process, which was really cool.
Yeah, the bidding was fascinating because you have to put a number of hirelings equal to the space that you're trying to occupy, unless you have some buff in your like dragon companion or a hero. For instance, like the 5 space card, which is the one that'll ensure you go first when that action resolves, that requires 5 hirelings. 4 is 4, 3 is 3, and so on. But oftentimes you don't want to spend the 5 because that's extremely expensive. But you definitely want to resolve first because you want to pick that 1 red dragon that's part of that, poachers camp that you need to connect to your hero that you're going to get on the action prior. And yeah, that was fascinating because if more than 3 people end up on that action space, anybody beyond those 3 they're just out of luck. They don't get anything because there are only 3 cards in each of the spots, save for the mountain. Well, even the mountain, the bottom part is only 3 cards. So if you're the 4th person on an action space because you decided to only put 1 worker down and everyone else was willing to pay more, you're out of luck and you don't get anything. Except you do get to take your worker back and you get, 2 tool tokens as well. So you get something It's just you don't get any of the cards that were available. So yeah, the bidding was really interesting.
I did that just to be mean a couple times, and I feel bad about it. But I was like, I want this spot. There's not another spot that I need, and it takes somebody out of it, and that felt fun.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
I don't think you should feel bad about it.
I just love how Reed's staring daggers at Becky right
Yeah,
now.
you are
No, it
making-
was Angela. I cut off Angela twice, at least twice.
Yeah. And I was like, sure, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't think you should feel bad about that. I think that's part of the game and part of what makes it an interesting choice of where you're putting your tokens. Are you going to put it at 2 because you're cheap, or are you going to put some more people out so Reed doesn't screw you over like that? You know, like I think that's part of what makes that so interesting, and also why I think 4 players is maybe the best number to play this game at. Simply because there's more things happening in that space, because you don't like block off any of the spaces if you have lower player counts.
Yeah, I thought that was a weird dynamic when we played at 3, because you would almost guarantee you got something. It happened all except for one time when Gillian or Becky, I can't remember which jerk it was. There were 3 of us on a space, and I was taking the strategy of like, well, there's 3 of us. I'm going to get
that
something
was me.
cheap. Oh, yeah, it's Gillian. So I would bet on the one spot, because I was like, is somebody going to go there twice, use more workers just to like knock me out? And also it was only 1 worker. So I was like, whatever if I don't get it. But also it's bad because then you don't. It's a kind of a wasted action. But Gillian did that once, and I was like, this guy right here. But it meant that when you went somewhere, you were going to get something. And so it definitely played different at 3 than 4.
It also, that play of putting something on there does questionably, but it could force your opponent to put out more resources. And so that was another thing that I realized, that like, oh, it seems like I'm really invested in this, but I'm not. I'm just trying to get you to use more of your things.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was really interesting that the dragon token was also an efficiency puzzle, in that you have this little dragon who will activate, but there is a way to get him to activate all 3 of the things, which is you place it on a 3 spot, you are the first person to place it
In that action.
and then can't remember what
It just always counts as a worker.
it always counts as a worker, yeah. So you could use that if you were the first person to go to a spot and you put it on a 3. It would activate whatever the benefits were that you're working on your personal tracks. But 3 is kind of like the best spot, because you're definitely going to get something, because there's 3 cards. So even if people go to 4 and 5, you may not get the first choice. But in a way, that personal dragon you have is an incentive to fill up all of the 3 spaces. So then people have to live in the decision-making space of, do I do more to guarantee? Do I do less to conserve my workers and try and get a deal? And I really liked that aspect of it.
Through this conversation, since we were talking about the action tiles, or that's not what they're called, but the tokens that eventually end the round, I do find it interesting, which we keep saying interesting, but it is interesting that the first player token always goes last for our group, because there's so much importance about where you're placing things on the different actions that I'm surprised none of us are like, oh, well, I want to be the first person to make sure I get exactly where I want to be. But that just didn't seem to come up, even though there is a lot of importance in placement and when you get to place.
Yeah, because I honestly felt like going first wasn't the best, because sure, you get your run of the mill and you can guarantee, like if you've trained your dragon on the flame, which is the one that activates when you're the first to place in an area, I felt like that didn't outweigh the benefit of seeing where everyone else went or other people are starting to place, because that was valuable in and of itself. And so I felt like kind of going later and largely using those aid tokens in a way. There's a race to get the one you want potentially, but I also found benefit in just taking one just to see how people were distributing their workers. So then I could figure out where I might be able to slide in there and, bump somebody out from getting something.
I think that the first player token didn't go first very often. because there were too many spots for it to feel competitive or like you needed to. That was, I think, in a worker placement game, and this is this kind of combination worker placement and bidding game, I like to feel competitive. I like to feel derailed if I don't get what I need. And a couple times I did take that first player and didn't feel that it benefited me a lot, because multiple times the dragons that came up or the cards that came up were similar colors. So it actually didn't matter if I were the first one there unless I wanted to use that 3 dragon. And I think that the only spot where I felt the tension that I was hoping for in a worker placement is the mountain climbing, which I was cut out twice by the tie-breaking situation, which at first I was like, why do you need to be a tiebreaker? And that was why.
I felt the tension in worker placement in a lot of spots, especially there were situations, though, where it was very muted. And by that, I mean it just wasn't very competitive. Like, oh, we flipped 3 red preserves. So it didn't matter if you went first. You would have the same choice regardless. But then if you went to the poaching camp and there were 3 different color dragons and you're aiming for a specific one, I felt tension in that. But I guess one space, there are 2 spaces that we didn't talk about, are just kind of the general spaces that any number of players can go to, and you don't have to devote any workers to. You just use one of your tokens. Those are ones to like go up on the flame track and get 4 hirelings, and then the other is to get 2 tools essentially. So there are spaces to go to get more resources for use later in that exact round. But I guess going back to the point about the first player token, as Reed was talking about it, I agree. Like, the first player doesn't really matter all that much, and it is a dud in the last round. I don't even think it's a tiebreaker, whoever has first. But I think it would have benefited from making it something like you get a resource for that round, similar to the one of like, oh, you get a chainmail and you're a tiebreaker, but something else that's like, you get a warden and you go up on the flame tracker, or something that get a special worker that you can use that round. I just feel like it would have been more appealing had it been a resource that you can use actively in that round.
Or at least first player and a resource.
Yeah. First player and a warden, or first player and a wild that maybe doesn't disappear. Like, kind of like a grunt plus.
Yeah. Or you take the first 2 actions.
Yeah.
I think that would have been an interesting. It just didn't move as much, because same thing. Why would you need it if there are multiple spots you could go to and you don't need to be first? I never felt the need to go first in this game. And it did do a little bit of a disservice to something Becky does quite often, which is rude, which is Becky will assess the situation and try to end a round to screw you over. So if it's not going to benefit her to have the round go longer, she will try everything she can. Like in Arc Nova, she's like, well, I just want the round to end because I don't have any more money and I don't want you guys to play anything. So I'm going to do XYZ to try and end the round and gain benefits from it. And you can't really do that in this game without hurting yourself detrimentally. Like, if you were to go and take all 4 tokens on your turn, which would not be great, you will then have not done any of the 4 actions and your opponents will have done all 4. So there's no real kind of like, you have to take 2 actions to take 2 turns, and people see that it's counting down, so they're like, I'm not taking a token, I don't want the round to end. And so it didn't seem like that was a good viable play, which I actually also love. As much as I hate it when Becky does it, I think it's a really smart strategy decision.
I'm glad you said that last bit, because as you were talking, I was just like, wait, am I mean?
Yes, Becky
Yes,
does.
you are.
We've
You are.
already
Obvious.
established nice in person, mean in games.
Yeah.
Well, then I also thought maybe that's a good thing for this game, because it will be more people will enjoy playing it because you can't be a rude jerk face to your friends.
I mean, I still did get irritated at some points when I got cut out of the mountain.
Yeah, and you were irritated at me for taking the healing potion for the flame, but Angela kept taking it from me, which then I got in a fight with Angela over who could get it first, and then you were just mad at me, so that was valid.
Yeah, the only reason to take the first player token was so that you could screw Becky and go down the flame track, and then you were like, this is great. But then your first move, you don't care about the placement. Isn't that weird? You go
Yeah.
first to care about placement, but you don't. You just do it so you can take the token that lets you go down 2 on the flame track.
I would love to talk about the flame track.
I was just thinking, I really like the flame track and how scoring is based on your placement on there. Like being the highest up that track, which means you've been getting helpful resources that move you up. And if you're the highest, you get no points. And that makes me so mad. And I was so angry when we all were close together. And like the most points someone got was 4 or 6. I was like, whoa, this is not how it's supposed to work. My flame went.
Yeah, there were a lot of decisions I think that you can make in this game to try to temper your flame, because even I don't remember what it's called, the guild hall or whatever, where you get resources and workers, like there are often cards that pop up that are like, oh, you go down 1 or you go down 2 on the flame track. And then there are ones that have you go up if you get like the special hirelings. But there were times when Angela was trying to monopolize that track just to go down on the flame track. And there were a couple times she succeeded, and it was very infuriating.
That one time that you blocked me from getting 6 down. And it's so funny. This track is, if you go up the track, it is bad. If you go down the track, it is good. But only if somebody is a fool and goes up the track. So the first few games, Reed was like, I do what I want. And so she would be up, and then you have to take where your token is. And it's the number of spaces from where you are to where the person is up at the front. So you don't have to be the lowest. If you're in the middle, you're still going to score some points because it's the difference between you and the person in the front. And so going down the track strategically or trying to sneak it in at certain times gave you a lot of points. And then we eventually came to this moment in the last game we played where everybody was doing their darndest to not be high, which put us really tightly together. And so because of that, you couldn't count on them for endgame points. Whereas, like, if you were very far, you could score 20 points, which is like astronomical.
Yeah, the first game we played, I think Reed was so far up on that track, all of us scored the maximum 20 points, except for Reed, who got 0. And then the last game, I think the most anybody earned from that was 6 points. So it was quite the difference in how we approached the game collectively.
Yeah, I learned from watching Becky, who had on the individual player boards, there are the tracks that you go up, and one gives you more worker reduction, the cost of worker reduction. One gives you armor that you get to use, or the tools, and then one gives you reduction of flames. And I really went up the armor because it seemed like it had some synergy with my dragon, but I did not use that. And I saw Becky go up the flame reduction track, and so every time Becky would place that dragon on the 3, then you would go down, you know, what was it, like 2 flames in
2
that.
or 3.
And so I, moving forward as we played more, was like, oh, this is actually very valuable to build this engine out and get that so that you can go up at strategic times and go down.
You mentioned the or your I guess player power there. That's one thing we didn't touch on, is that the base game, or the first time you play, they suggest playing the A side, which everybody is, they don't have any special abilities. But then you can play on the B side of all of the like player colors. And each one has a different power, a different faction power. And that was fascinating. We played that way from the get-go. We didn't even play the base one, but we rotated who played which factions to get a sense of how they worked. And I definitely felt like there was at least one that I felt like wasn't as appealing or as easy to use. Whereas, like, was it the yellow? I felt like was really good, and that was where whenever you get the chain mail, you can, like, whenever you go up on one of your dragon companion tracks, you can spend one of those chainmail tokens to go up an additional step. So that was really useful, and I felt like I was always the maximum at least one of those tracks when I was that faction. And then the others, like I think the blue or the white, I think, is whenever you paired a dragon and a hero, or a dragon and a preserve, you could get just a basic grunt token, or you can spend a basic grunt to get a free exchange to one of the higher or one of the special hirelings. And so I felt like some of them were really useful, but then I don't remember what the power was of one of them, but I
the
felt like it
loser
wasn't.
one.
The doopy dragon.
Yeah, that one was not the greatest because you could pair a dragon. So because they're color based, if you paired a red dragon with a red preserve or a red dragon with a red hero, that's how it activated. You can't have a different color dragon. You can't put a blue on a red. With this power, you could spend a chainmail to pair different colors with different things. So different preserves, a red preserve with a blue dragon. It was fine, and they're worth one extra victory point, but the juice was not worth the squeeze with that faction.
It's interesting. I think that's the one I didn't play,
Yes,
but I
correct.
feel like it could be powerful. Like, especially if you could easily exploit that to just like go lowest as you can on any of the tracks to get dragons and heroes, and you're like, oh, I can pair any colors with any colors.
Let me tell you, of course, Gillian will play it and stomp us.
Oh,
that's
for
absolutely,
sure.
yeah.
I did not get enough chainmail
chainmail.
in that game to be able to use it. And in that game in particular, it could have just been circumstance, but I didn't need to do it. I easily accessed all of the dragons and colors that I needed.
Yeah, I think that power would be better if it was harder to get a type of dragon.
Yeah.
And because there weren't a lot of times that I was like, no, I really need a blue dragon. Because you could get dragons on the mountain and you could go get them from the poachers camp, there was a better opportunity for you to get, because there's only 3 colors. So I think if they had changed up the odds of the colors, it would have been better.
I think it was harder to get a hero or preserve of the color that you need to match with the dragon. I found that more restrictive than the dragons themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also think it's important to get a hero that plays with your ability, because when I was playing that faction, I had a hero at the very beginning that was like have a set of each color dragon, and that will give you 3 points up to 9 or 12 points total. And so I was working hard to get all the dragons anyway, so I don't think I used the ability at all, which then felt like a waste and made me grumpier when I saw everyone else using their abilities. And I was like, oh, well, I don't need to use mine.
I don't think that the pairing of the dragons with the heroes and the preserves was super difficult. Again, the 3 colors that we talked about, but I never felt blocked out or that a dragon was useless to me. I did also go for the multicolor dragons a lot, which ended up kind of not being great when the raid card said this color, and then they count as what that color is.
Unless they're paired.
And
Yeah.
so that happened to me a number of times in the earlier part of the game where I hadn't paired my dragons. But I would like there to be some other key in the pairing of heroes and preserves than just one of the 3 colors.
Yeah, I felt like there were times when I wouldn't say sweating, but I was definitely like kind of biting my nails as I was third in line to choose from the dragons, and I needed the one color. And so there were times when it definitely mattered for me. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think I learned I didn't go to the mountain a lot in the first game, and then I saw how bad that was later. Because in the poachers camp you get 1 dragon, there's not really a cost. When you go up the mountain, there's a little bit more of a cost in terms of you're probably going to go down the flame track.
Up the flame track.
Up the flame track, sorry, yeah. And while that is bad, you also have to have your specific hireling, I don't remember which one.
Warden.
The warden one, they get taken away. So normally when you have one of these upgraded, it's not just a basic hireling, they stay with you all the time. So you get them back. So there is also a push and pull of, do I use my chainmail to upgrade a basic hireling into something better that I'll keep time after time? Or do I not? And with the wardens, you lost them the higher up you went in the mountain, but you could also score 3 dragons in a single turn from that play. So I often found myself, when I started going to the mountain, dragon rich and other resources poor, like how do I get a preserve? How do I get this? So I did appreciate also that dynamic of when do you take your workers, when do you not? How do you get certain ones? And the mountain was kind of worth it. And in a 4-player game, when the mountain is kind of worth it, it makes it much harder. And to go up the mountain, you have to have more wardens. You can't just have those loser hirelings. And so you're like, I'm going to put 5 of them here. Whereas if you put 5 hirelings, you actually can't go up the mountain. So
I did get a few 7-point dragons from the mountain, and that brought me into a solid, like, still 4th place, maybe 3rd place.
Yeah. Solid 4th. Yeah.
Out of 4, just so we all know.
It was great.
That was also hard because the dragons are chosen at random. The mountains are different than the poachers camp. But because they're random, the dragon at the very top that you pay the most resources to get could be like, a 2-point dragon, a 1-point dragon. And you're like, what? But then the second row could have a 7-point dragon on it. And so I was like, what?
Yeah, and one of the benefits of being at the top or going to the top of the mountain and then getting that dragon is you also get to train your dragon companion on one of your tracks. So that had its own little incentive, but that ended up feeling like not all that worthwhile at times when it is just like a 1-2-point dragon.
Yeah,
because you lose
dragon.
Yeah, you lose like a warden and you go up on the flame track and then you train. Yeah,
and you got 1 victory point.
Yeah.
I have one more thing to say about the flame track. I know that the repercussion of going to the end should have been the 20-point gap that I gave to all of my opponents, but I feel like there should have been some other repercussion for going to the end, because once you're there, if we all played high, it wouldn't matter. Or, if I had the engine going and then I continually hit the end and then dropped back, there was no
it's house rule to where one of your grunts burns to a crisp whenever you go up.
That should be something. There should be a penalty for going to the end other than end game scoring.
I think what would be helpful is that when you go to the top, you hand every one of your opponents the 20-point chip that you had.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what happens. And this would just be the physical
that was
reminder.
A problem for future read,
Yes.
not present read. And maybe that would be a good reminder of like -5 or something like that you hit the end, you get -5.
Because that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
and so I feel like that would make you.
I know.
My thought, I like this game. I think it is a good game. Thematically, it didn't resonate with me. Even though there's a poachers camp and you're doing like different pieces, and it gave me a lot of Pan Am vibes. It didn't super hit me thematically, and I think I'm looking for that a little bit more in games. Yes, there are dragons and there are heroes and you're going about, but it didn't vibe with me in that specific way. I thought it was a good game. I didn't think it was a great game. Like, I would be happy to play it if somebody brought it out, but I'm not going to request to play it. Was kind of how I walked away. It's hard. We talk about it, and then I'm like, I would love to play this game right now. But then I'll finish playing it and be like, that was fine.
I have similar feelings as you, Angela. I definitely think this game is worthwhile for someone who loves a midweight game and loves dragons. Like, I see no reason, especially at this price point, for them to not pick that up. But in a collection like ours, I also have a hard time thinking, like, I'm probably not going to suggest it, but I will play it when that's what the group decides they want to play.
Oh, I'll suggest it.
Dang it! No, I'm kidding.
I actually like this game a lot. Is it my favorite game? No, but I still like it. I think the most out of a lot of the midweight Euro games I played lately. And I think a lot of it has to do with kind of the dragon theme, and it feels like it's kind of how to train your dragon, and you have little dragon meeple as your companion. And the Andrew Bosley art doesn't hurt at all. And I just, as we were talking about it throughout this podcast, I did, as Angela said, I felt like, I want to play it again. It sounds fun. And yeah, I just think the worker placement component and kind of bidding for spots is something that I really enjoyed, and really having to balance your resources and judging how your opponents are going to go. I think I really enjoy the mechanisms of the game, and the theme, while it's not super entwined, I feel like it does a decent job at capturing that. So I do appreciate that.
I think that As far as midweight games go, this is one of the ones that I've enjoyed more that we've played lately. I was trying to think about, is it a deck builder, a resource builder? Because it's not a deck, but like the aspect of like building out your tokens so that you have stronger play. I really liked that aspect. I felt like seemed on the lighter end of some of those midweight games that we've been playing, and we will definitely go into this likely in the future, but I don't know if the weight seemed like it really kind of clicked for me. I kept wanting more tension. I kept wanting a little bit more deeper engagement with it. So I agree with Becky and Angela. It's not one that I would suggest, but I do think it would be good to introduce to people who liked a lighter end of a game that was in this kind of weight range.
Yeah, I think about this for our other game group, and what Gillian said is probably the reason why. If you've not played a bidding, worker placement, and I agree with you also, Reed, this kind of collection of tokens is kind of like, it's not a bag builder, certainly, but you're building up the resources so that you have stronger and stronger plays. Those mechanics are really interesting, and if you've not played them together, that's fun. And I think this would be a good game to introduce to our other game group because it introduces so many of those different variables. But it's certainly, I think you're right about the tension. I didn't always feel like, I'm like, oh, gosh, golly. Now, maybe that's because I lost a lot. And if I had won a lot, so this is a note for Gillian, let us win all the time.
Especially the games that you want to continue playing.
Or
No, we're
Wow.
not petty like that.
Oh,
No,
no,
not petty.
Becky's definitely petty like that.
No.
Not at all. Those are our 2 learning lessons. 1, get Reed 20-point chips that she can hand out for others. And 2,
Hey, a use for iron clays. Great.
ooh, there you go. And Gillian, just let us win all of the games.
Just do better.
Dang.
Burn.
Boo.
Burn like on the flame track.
Oh, Becky, we boo now. Boo.
Oh, again?
Becky, you got booed twice. Yeah.
Okay, now laugh, everyone. Oh, okay. Keep your laughs that low. That was good.
Low.
Hello.
Well, they didn't go. It wasn't like a ha ha ha.
Well, you got to wait till you get Reed going, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She pulls back a little.
Not all the time.
Not that last pod.